about my school life that I experienced abroad. So, other than Japan, I have lived in two other countries in my past, which are the US and Germany. And in the US and Germany, I did not go to a Japanese school. I learned English, and I learned in English at a public school and an international school in the US. And since I'm still a student today, I want to share my experience with you guys from a student's point of view. So let's get started. The first part is, where did I live? Some people who have listened to my previous presentations may remember this, but I just want to give you some recap and a little more detail. From age 2 to 9 years old, I lived in the US. And in the US, I lived in two places, two states to be exact. I lived in Michigan State and Washington State. In Michigan State, I lived in a small city called Ann Arbor. And in Ann Arbor, we had a university that had a very strong American football team. So me and my family would often go to the football game and watch them play. In Washington, we had a big city called Seattle, and Seattle was very cool because even though it was a big city with lots of stores and cafes and museums, around the city there was an ocean, so you could go on ferry boats, and also a mountain where you could go hiking. From 14 to 16 years old, I lived in Germany. And in Germany, I lived in the city, the capital, called Berlin. And I also liked Berlin because it was very different from both Japan and the US. It had lots of historical elements to it. There were museums and churches, so there were many sightseeing places. Like this, it was a public school, and it was called Penny Creek Elementary School. From 9th grade to 10th grade, I went to a school like this, and this school was called Berlin Brandenburg International School. And this school was very big, first of all, because it was an international school. So many students from countries from all over the world would come. And also, there would be students from kindergarten all the way up to grade 12. So the youngest students would be 4 or 5 years old, and the oldest would be 18 or 19, so my age. And that's why it's such a big school. And now I'm going to guide you through a typical day of my school schedule. And I will be comparing the US and Germany versus Japan, so you guys can have a better image of what's different and what's the same. So yeah. In the US and Germany, I usually woke up at 6:30, and then I ate breakfast. In the US, specifically, we would always eat breakfast in a more simple way. So maybe just a banana or some cereal with orange juice. It was very simple. Yeah, so we would eat breakfast, get changed, brush my teeth, pack my bag. And then at 7:15, I would leave my house with my brothers, and we would walk to a bus stop. And after we wait for the bus stop, a school bus that looks like this comes and picks us up. And then we go on the school bus, and then we arrive at school at 7:55 a.m. After that, we have classes until 3 p.m. In Japan, this is my typical school life right now. I wake up at 7:15 a.m. and I eat breakfast, brush my teeth. I do the same things to get prepared for school. And it usually takes me a lot of time to do this because I'm really sleepy in the morning. My mind is only half awake, so I like to be more relaxed in the morning. Anyways, I leave my house at 8:05 every day, and I cycle to school. So yeah, I arrive at school at 8:25 a.m. and after that, from 8:40 to 3:30, I have school. So the amount of time I'm in school is approximately the same, but there's the schools in the US and Germany start a little bit earlier. Why are the desks different? But the way the desks were placed were very different in each country. So I just want to talk about that to you guys. In Japan, for me, this was a typical way that I took class. We would all be facing the front, and the teacher would be in the front with the board, and we would listen to them. So our attention is fully onto the teacher. In the US, I never had that. We would be in groups. So there were a couple desks in one group, and I would be facing another classmate, and next to me is another classmate, and the teacher walks around while she or he teaches us. And in Germany, it was a combination of both. I would have some classes that were all faced to the front, but at the same time, I always had someone next to me. So if I had a question or if we were working together, I could talk to them easily. Or there would be desks that were placed in a circle. So when you go in, everyone is facing in a circle, and we're able to have lots of discussion-based classes. So what exactly did I do in these classes? In Japan, I remember I took notes from the board. We were very quiet. We were only speaking when the teacher allowed us to. And when we could discuss, we move around our desks, talk, and then put it right back. And we usually used textbooks like these with the class and took notes a lot. Yeah, so we were very focused on taking notes. That's what I remember. And in the US, I think it might be a bit different because I was really young at that time. But there were many creative projects. The teacher liked us to move around a lot, and we didn't have any textbooks. We do activities. So like this picture, I don't really remember what we were doing, but they always tried to put something fun into it. So we were coloring here. Or sometimes, even though we had desks, the teacher would call us and then we would sit on a carpet and take class. I had a teacher who spoke Spanish during third grade. So sometimes she would teach us how to speak Spanish or say the words, the days of the week in Spanish. And I remember that was really fun. In terms of creativity, they always liked us to write and express our experiences. So what you see on the right with all the colors and the squiggles is actually a book that I wrote in third grade. And they're called personal narratives. So you talk about what you've experienced in your life. And I believe I talked about the first time I was able to ride my bike and going to my grandma's house to go camping. And it was really fun writing this because you could do whatever you want with it. You can draw your own pictures and you could just express all your feelings there. It was very fun. In Germany, on the other hand, we did a lot of independent learning. So on the left, you see students studying or reading on their own. And then we would have projects like these. So of course, independent learning is important, but there are always teachers and friends for there to help you. And we would also have a lot of individual projects. So you would do research on your own and you would present something like that. And me in 10th grade, I had a project like this. And because I like food and eating, I did it on healthy eating around the world. And I did research, I did interviews with other people, and I made a small recipe book to share my information that I got from my research. And then I presented it like this. So the teachers and the students and parents would come to see it. And I remember it was very hard, but I enjoyed it a lot. We had questions from a textbook or a doriru that we had, and then we would need to turn it into our teacher the next day. And in the US, on the other hand, we didn't have much homework. We would have maybe some worksheets to do, but there was one thing that I remember my teachers always told us to do was to read. And they always encouraged us to read and read and read more books. And I did that a lot. And now I feel really comfortable with reading books. Reading books is one of my hobbies. And I think it's a really great habit that they put on me. In Germany, we also didn't have like precise, strict homework, but we would need to finish assignments such as essays and reports. And I think that's because I've gotten older and the assignments are much more different from when you're young, but it's more about self-study rather than doing homework for the teacher or the class. So you study for yourself is what you learn about homework. And how about on the holidays? Nobody likes to work on the holidays. And in Japan, I remember I got a big list like this. You would need to do like lots of textbook works, write some reports, read a book and write about it. There was a lot of work about it, but in the US, we didn't have any homework at all during the summer or winter, and we just got to relax. And I remember just playing around the whole summer. In Germany also, there wasn't any strict homework to do. But of course, if you want to study, you could study. And yeah, you have the more freedom there. So how do we spend our recess or break time in between classes? In the US, my teachers always told me, you can't stay inside of the classroom or go to the library. You need to go outside and play outside. So we did that. I didn't really like playing outside because I didn't play much sports then, but I would be with my friends and we would play in the playground. And I would play pretend with my friends, pretending that I'm a chef or something, playing with the leaves. And in Japan, we had more freedom for that. I remember I liked playing tag with my friends here or on the playground again. Or sometimes I would even go to the library to read more books. And I really like that about Japan. Also in Germany, you have freedom here too. Again, I would go to the library to study or read. Or there's also a really big field available for us. My brother, for example, he would play soccer here every break time. And yeah, you can play so many sports on this field. I would go on walks around the track with my friend and just talking. Another thing that was interesting about this school is that it had a music room. So there would be guitars and pianos in the music room, and we could practice playing our instrument. So during the break time, I would go with my friends after lunch to the break room, and we would just play our favorite songs or practice different things for our class. And that share to you guys about this. School lunches in the US are not very popular. It's not the best kind of food that you can get in the US. So people don't eat it that much, but they serve you. It's not working. they serve you chocolate milk, and you eat at a cafeteria that's like this. So there's a really long table that you see there, right? And it would be like the first graders sit on this table, the second graders sit on this table. So we would have sort of assigned seats to sit in. And my favorite lunch that I would always get was this. And I don't think I've seen this that often in Japan. It's called a cheese quesadilla. And what it is that you have a big tortilla wrap, and in there you have cheese, and then you fold it, and then you fry it, and it's like very cheesy. It's like a cheesy bread, and I remember I loved eating that all the time. And also after eating lunch, they would sell popcorn that are sold in these big bags. And every time they sold these, it was really cheap. It was only 25 yen per bag. So I remember I would get them all the time and share it with my friends. In Japan, what I vividly remember is that we had the kyushoku toban, where our classmates would serve the food for us, and we would cooperate and eat. And it was a really interesting experience. And also, I remember the foods were very balanced in terms of nutrition. You'd always have rice and soup and vegetables and meat, and of course milk. And I really liked that. And one of my favorite foods that I had during my Japanese school lunches was this pho noodles. They're not Japanese food, they're from Vietnam. But I remember the first time I tried this, I was like, whoa, this is probably one of my favorite things that I'll ever have here. And also, I really like the bread in Japan. This apple bread, it was so fluffy, and this little apple bits inside was really good. Yeah, in Germany, it was also different. We had a buffet style lunch, so you could take what you want, and then you can just adjust everything on your own. And for example, if you want to eat a salad, but you don't like tomatoes or carrots, you can skip those and put in your favorite vegetables. So that was really cool. And you would also be able to try traditional German foods like this. This is called a schnitzel, and it's very similar to a tonkatsu in Japan. It's just, I don't know, a little bit flatter, I believe. And you would have, even after lunches as snacks, they would also sell little German breads like the Brötchen on the left and the German pretzels. So for snacks, we would eat bread. And yeah, mashed potatoes, boiled potatoes. One thing you would notice that in Germany is that they serve a lot of potatoes. So if you like potatoes, I think it's a good place to go to. So yeah, today I talked the amount of homework and what we do in our break time, and what is lunchtime like in Germany, Japan, and the US. In Germany, the desks can be placed in multiple different ways. And we like to learn through individual learning, of course, with the help of others. And we don't have homework, but we do lots of individual self-study. And then during break time, we have our freedom. We can go anywhere inside the school and do whatever. And the lunches are like buffet styles, and you can try different German foods. In Japan, typically all the desks are faced to the front, and in class, you take notes according to the textbook and the board that the teacher writes in. And we have homework almost every day. But during break time, again, we have freedom. We can go wherever we want, do whatever. And during lunchtime, we have a very balanced menu with a lot of tasty foods. In the US, the desks are facing each other. I'm facing another student, and then the teacher walks around. And we do a lot of creative activities. And yeah, we move around a lot. And we have no homework, but they always told us to read a lot. And in the break times, we would also have to be outside and play. And during lunch times, we have very good cheesy goods and snacks. So, yep, that was my presentation.